evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the globe, in the chat room, wherever you are. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I am Michael Vera, and this broadcast is coming at you live in or around the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina. And again, I do welcome all of you, including those of you listening on our affiliates, Dark Matter Radio Network, K98 Talk, and High Points Radio, the top of New Jersey, 100.5 FM, 1700 AM, covering New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Our website, folks, is www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a member, be informed. Make sure you check out the News and Discovery tab. You'll find all our blogs and articles, and it's a good idea to take a look at them because we cover that in the beginning of each show. We get into some of the news. Now, my guest tonight is John Kerner. John is a professor of American history at Erie Community College in Williamsville, New York. He's the author of several books. We'll be talking about one of his books in particular. It's Why the CIA Killed JFK and Malcolm X, the secret drug trade in Laos. Very interesting fellow, and we're going to talk with him tonight about this JFK and Malcolm X, and even Martin Luther King and others who have been murdered because they got in the way of the drug trade. His website's www.paranormalwalks.com. Again, John Kerner joining us tonight after the break. We'll also take calls at some point. 803-317-2264. And folks, some nights we get started a few minutes late. It sometimes depends on the show before Late Night in the Midlands. If it runs a few extra minutes, well, it sets me back about double that. So because it takes time to set up the board and do the things that I have to do. Folks, I was serious the other night when I was talking about how we want to build the L&M radio network to a 24-hour network, a radio station that just never says goodnight. That's what we want to do. I've been looking into it. Anybody who has any kind of talents that they would like to volunteer, even if you're familiar with setups and doing things, the things that need to be done, by all means, get a hold of me at mv@latenightinthemidlands.com because this project is going to go forward. It's just, it might take a little while depending on how much help we get to get it going. By the way, feel free to donate and subscribe. You could do that at our website at latenightinthemidlands.com. There's tabs, drop-down tabs. If you go up the top underneath the home tab, put your cursor up there, it drops down, and there you have it. Donate, subscribe, keeps us on the air, helps us expand as we have here in 2015. We've added more shows to our growing network. This was once a 13-hour-a-day network, and we had quite a few shows. But the server or service we were using for it gave me a screw job, and so we narrowed it down to a very small network after that, and which needed to be done because we didn't. I don't know. I didn't agree with some of the shows we began to pick up, but that's not going to be the case this time. We're going to go 24 hours, and we want to make sure the folks that come on and become hosts on this network, have nothing but the best interest at heart and no personal agendas. We don't want no BS being flown around if we can help it. So that's what we're trying to build here. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that as well. This week, Ryan, in the Secret Teachings, there'll be 2 Secret Teaching shows this week. Saturday night, there will be one starting at 6 p.m. Eastern because he didn't play this week. He was ill and didn't get his show sent in to me in time, and at no one's fault. It just happened. So we're going to run one on Saturday, and he'll be running another one on Sunday for the secret teachings. Now, enough of that, because we're pressed for time now because we had a few minutes late start here, and I've got a lot that I want to get into. Doctor recalls visiting heaven during NDE. It's pretty interesting when a doctor will talk about this, because they're usually the ones who try to tell you, well, it's a chemical in the brain. Well, a doctor who almost drowned remembers interacting with spirits and being warned about her son's death. Now, folks, I came close to drowning twice in my life. One time, I literally just started sinking. It was over. I accepted that it was over. But, I did get rescued. I didn't have any of this happen. It's kind of, I guess, to me, it's kind of strange how some people, just like me, I had a visitation from my mom, and other people don't have that happen to them. So I'm not saying that it's strange in a way that it's not true. I think it's very true. A lot of this stuff is. It's strange how we all don't have these experiences, though. It just is. 16 years ago, orthopedic spinal surgeon Dr. Mary Neal was involved in a kayaking accident that almost took her life, but it was what she experienced while doctors battled to save her that would remain the most memorable and profound part of her ordeal. Her near-death experience began when she awoke to find herself walking towards a large dome structure situated in a landscape of intense beauty and serenity. I can tell you now, it wasn't my house. Two spirits greeted her outside and expressed how happy they were that she had arrived. They had physical forms, she said. They had heads, arms, legs, and were wearing sort of robes. But I just wonder if our perceptions don't create where we go and what we see and how things are when we go to the other side. I don't know. I just wonder. It's like, 'cause I don't know. I'm not going to see people in robes, I don't think, because, I don't know. I don't worship like that. And so I don't know. See how strange it is? I mean, everybody sees the light, it seems, who has this phenomena happen. But I don't know. I've had some tell me they met Jesus when they went to the other side, and and they had to come back. But anyways, the spirits went on to explain that it was not yet her time and that she had to go back. They also told her something that would haunt her for years to come, that her oldest son would die in the future. Spooky. Anyways, folks, that is linked up on News and Discovery on LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Researchers expose NSA spying program. When I first seen this, the title alone, I says, are you kidding me? We've known about this. Some of us have known about it for a long time. I've been preaching about it for at least 8 years, almost 8 years now. But I was a conspiracy theorist until the mainstream media came out with it, just like they've now come out about the televisions with the cameras in them. They weren't telling you about that before, were they? And see, now they get busted, so they have to start talking about it. Researchers expose NSA spying program. A security software firm has revealed that spyware has been hidden within the fireware of hard drives. According to researchers at Kaspersky Lab, a security firm based in Moscow which produces antivirus software, the NSA has developed an effective new way to install spyware onto computers in countries all over the world by embedding it into a firmware of popular big brand hard drives. See, I'm not so concerned with our country or any alphabet agency of our country spying on other countries. That's not my issue. That's, let other countries worry about that. But when our own country spies on we the people, We're supposed to be the ones in charge. We're supposed to be their boss, right? They work for us. So what was said. And so I know it is laughable, isn't it? But, that's where my problem comes. Well, a study revealed that the spyware was present on computers in more than 30 countries, most notably in Russia, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Yemen, Algeria, and Syria. And let's be honest here, the United States, too. I'll add that because you guarantee they're doing it here. Targets included telecommunication companies, government employees, military institutions, energy companies, research laboratories, banks, and even nuclear power facilities. The spyware is effective because it is located within the code that executes whenever the device is turned on. That is also linked up under news and discoveries on latenightinthe They say that it can have serious negative effects on the U.S. interest with this information getting out. You know what? Too bad. Those of these people, whatever you want to call them, these demons who are in charge of this country, who are running and calling the shots, they have embarrassed the United States so badly. I mean, you might not want to know, some of you, what they think of this country around the world. It's a shame because, at one time, I think, we did stand for good. But that's gone now. We've been taken over. And, it's our military is used as the iron fist of the New World Order. NASA worker. Humans visited Mars in 1979. Now I wonder if she knows Andrew. An ex-NASA employee has insisted that humans walked on the surface of Mars more than 35 years ago. The remarkable claim comes courtesy of a woman known as Jackie, who called into the U.S. radio show, I won't mention, to reveal that she had witnessed a live feed showing spacesuited humans on Mars all the way back in 1979. Anyways, they now, after tracking some things back, they say it was a hoax, and I wouldn't doubt it if she wasn't one of the paid callers of Premier Network. But anyways, speaking of Mars One mission, they say that, program known as the Mars One Project, 24 ordinary people are hoping to be selected as part of a Red Planet program. This is going to be like a reality program, a reality TV series that they want to do on Mars. So there'll be 24 people up there, and then they're going to put the cameras on you and have a reality show on Mars. Then you wonder why ET's not coming down saying, hey, let's be friends, we're here. They don't want nothing to do with any of this. As early as 2016, RoboCop will be patrolling your streets. That's what this says. By 2016, there will likely be a 6-foot-tall police robot patrolling the streets and handing out parking tickets. The Telebot, developed by Florida International University's Discovery Lab, has been field tested and is undergoing the final tune-up. With a swiveling head and a dexterous fingers, they say, the humanoid robot is controlled remotely by a person wearing a Rift headset and motion tracking vest, armbands, and gloves. The voice of the remote operator is transmitted through the robot to the unfortunate citizen on the receiving end. The menacing look of Telbot is no accident. It's designed to intimidate and give you a sense of authority. So RoboCop, Terminator, call it what you will, it's coming for you. So when you're parked illegally, watch out. RoboCop's going to come and work you over a little bit. And they could say, oh, well, we're sorry it shot you. It was a malfunction. I'm telling you, and that kind of goes with this next story. When we talk about police, how about the military too? I think this all goes hand in hand. There's they're saying now in the military that because of some tattoos and prescription drugs and obesity, that the Army Reserve's recruitment effort has been severely damaged. That something like 71% of potential military recruits cannot be accepted because of these problems. They say that are from prescription drugs. They specifically say prescription drugs, not recreational. So you see, I read something like this and it makes me think, okay, you got RoboCop, you're going to have Robo Super Soldier kind of military thing going too. It won't be long. We know they're working on that already. You've seen the dog that DARPA made that you could kick as hard as you want, and it keeps its balance and comes back for more. Well, they're working. They don't think it's just a dog. I mean, there's a lot more they've got going. They're looking for the transhuman agenda, and they're on track for it here. So this kind of seems planned to me. Let's get the prescription drugs. Let's put some poison in these tattoo inks, and let's put poison in the food so people will get obese. Let's get them addicted to prescription drugs. They won't even be able to serve the military. And when not enough of them can't serve the military, we now know we've got them where we want them. We've been brainwashing them with the TV, and we've given them 355 channels or something. So they're going to be so brainwashed and fat and out of shape and all drugged up from their big pharma terrorism pills. And then we could finally take over, because these fat you-know-whats aren't even going to be able to lean over to get their guns off their tables when they're done with us. So anyways, sorry, I'm getting a little dramatic here, but it just bothers me because, here they are admitting prescription drugs. Hello. And it's not just the military. I mean, it's widespread, worldwide, as a matter of fact. Physical, moral, and congestive shortcomings eliminate 71% of potential military recruits. This is linked up on latenightinthemidlands.com. I think you should take a look at it. They said 7 out of 10 applicants failed to meet Army Reserve standards on mental, moral, and physical reasons. And this was from the U.S. Army Reserve Command spokesman. They said the problem affects the broader service as well. According to Army Recruiting Command statistics complied last year, 71% of young people wanting to join the military would fail to pass service tests because of their physical, moral, or congestive shortcomings, meaning they sat and played video games too long, sucking down their aspartame and false sugars. And, and on top of that, they've done exactly what they've been told, and they've took their big pharma terrorism pills. And it doesn't take very long before all these things start to work on you, and you pretty much become like a piece of the furniture. You're just there. You're just there. Oh, good news, though. Texas GOP officials cheer ruling on Obama immigration orders. Apparently, a Texas attorney general is hailing a federal judge's decision to temporarily block Presidente Barack Obama's executive action on immigration. I got so much more here. I just don't have time to get into it. Deadly ice, snow and storms bring havoc to the southeast. Sinkhole swallows up a snowplow truck in New Jersey. So we're seeing these sinkholes everywhere now. So anyways, all this is linked up. You know where. Folks, I'm going to take a break. We've got to take this break. Come back. We'll bring our guest on. I'm Michael Vera. This is Late Night in the Midlands. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. L&M Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an L&M subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you.
Hello, this is Dick Farrell, here to tell you about OxySilver. Legally available only through CureShop.com and HealthyWorldStore.com. Don't be fooled buying silver products from copycats and criminals. You've heard Dr. Leonard Horowitz and experts urge you to avoid deadly vaccinations and illegal operators selling stolen OxySilver and OxySilver copycats. You've heard experts tell you about suppression in alternative medicine and confusing propaganda in healthcare and the truth movement. Read Dr. Horowitz's book, Healing Celebrations, to learn how miracle healings can be made to happen through faith, prayer, and a pure diet. Get great immunity using vitamin C, D, and OxySilver, Liquid Dentist, GI Flora Pro, a top-shelf probiotic. Use Green Harvest as a great-tasting meal substitute for energizing organic nutrients and losing weight. And Zeolove, and natural clays for detoxifying your body. More advice, all these products and more are available from theCureShop.com. Including OxySilver, the world's most powerful silver hydrosol. Electro-energized to put risky injections, toxic antibiotics, and deadly drug pushers out of business. OxySilver is covalently bonded to water. Unlike any other silver product using the frequency of chlorophyll 528, what Dr. Horowitz explains is pure tone love, the universal healer. NASA originally developed covalently body silver hydrosols to keep astronauts healthy in space. Dr. Horowitz added the 528 frequency to NASA's formula and more. OxySilver works three ways to electrocute dangerous germs better than anything, far better than all leading silver products, and without any risk. OxySilver oxygenates and resonates with 528 for faster healing. So help save lives, putting drug lords and criminals out of business, and keep the LNM network broadcasting. Register for our free cooperative at healthworldaffiliates.com/4948. That's healthworldaffiliates.com/4948. And buy OxySilver and other great products in package specials at great discounts from theCureShop.com. Buy OxySilver, GI Flora Pro, Green Harvest, Zeolove, and Love Minerals at great discounts at CureShop.com. That's CureShop.com with two P's. CureShoppe.com. Or call toll-free at 1-888-621-7611. That's 1-888-621-7611. Do it now.
And as we have been programmed mentally, intellectually, one must be aware of this being programmed like a computer.
Programming that we are constantly assaulted by throughout our life conditions us. It programs us to a particular worldview.
The project is literally the secularization of the world. New secular or worldly order.
A new study says the news media have been pushing a gospel of godlessness on the American public.
Because this media is here and designed to make sure that they ask no critical questions. To make sure that the only thing that they are concerned about is having a good time. The only thing they're concerned about is filling their bellies. The only thing they're concerned about is acquiring more and more material things. And so that is why today, one of the struggles that you have.
Oh!
This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera. It is Tuesday night, and we've got a good guest coming up here, a first-time guest here on Late Night in the Midlands. We've got John Kerner, who is joining us tonight. He is a professor of American history at Erie Community College in Williamsville, New York. He is the author of several books, including The Mysteries of Father Baker, The Father Baker Code, Supernatural Power, The Secret Plot to Kill McKinley, and Why the CIA Killed JFK and Malcolm X, The Secret Drug Trade in Laos. Kerner has a master's degree in American history from the State University of New York College at Brockport, and a bachelor's degree in communications journalism from St. John Fisher College, where he graduated summa cum laude with honors. He is also the founder of Paranormal Walks. His website's paranormalwalks.com, a ghost walk company that explores the paranormal history of Western New York through annual walking tours. Kerner has been a guest on the History Channel's America's Book of Secrets, and he's also been on shows like Coast. And, well, now he is here on Late Night in the Midlands. He resides with his family in Buffalo, New York, and I'm here just about smiling because everything that's mentioned in that bio, I know where it is. Again, his site, www.paranormalwalks.com. We're going to bring John on with us here in just a moment. And again, we will take calls in the second hour at 803-317-2264. You can also call in using Skype. That's Skype to Skype, Late Night in the Midlands. No spaces, and you don't have to be on my friends list or my contact list. You could just do it. All right, so let's bring our guest on here with us tonight. All right. Hold on, folks. It's a ringing. John Kerner.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. John Kerner. This is Michael Vera with Late Night in the Midlands. How are you?
Doing good, Michael. Thanks for calling.
Oh, thank you for taking time out to be with us tonight. We are live, and I just, again, want to thank you for being here with us tonight, and looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, looking forward to a good conversation. We should have a lot to talk about tonight.
All right. I guess a good place to start out would be with a little bit of background. I did give the bio. But certainly that probably doesn't tell the whole story. Now, you're in Buffalo, New York. I am originally from Rochester, New York, so I know the area very well. So a double pleasure speaking with you tonight.
Oh, great. Where did you grow up in Rochester? Whereabouts?
Right near the town of Greece,
Okay, yeah.
Ridgeway Avenue. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, sure. One of my good friends lives out in Greece, yeah.
Yeah, I was in the 10th Ward, and I've been to Buffalo several times, big Bills fan. So
yeah, we're suffering a lot these days.
yeah. Well, I think the suffering is about to end.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, 15 years is enough.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So how's the snow where you are? Has it simmered down any? I know you guys got hit pretty hard.
Oh, yeah, well, it's just nonstop. I mean, I think I've shoveled more this year than almost any year. It just really just doesn't seem to let up.
All right, so great. Yeah, why don't we start out with a little background? And I guess, first of all, what is Paranormal Walks? That sounds interesting.
Well, it's a ghost walk company that I run out here in Western New York. I do 2 walks, one in Lockport, one in Hamburg, which is where I grew up, outside of Buffalo. And they basically are just a way to bring the paranormal side to people of Western New York. And they are a number of different stories that we tell. Some ghost stories, some conspiracy theories, demonic possession cases, angels, UFO reports. The whole range of the paranormal gets told on these particular walks that I run, and it's just from my own research, and it's a way just to bring it to the public.
I see. So what is your opinion on the paranormal? Are you convinced of another side of something that's going on that we don't know about?
Well, I think that's kind of what drives me. I really want to go into this area of the unexplained to figure out the answers to these questions that we really all have. I mean, what is thought to be paranormal in some ways is nothing but normal. I mean, even conspiracy theories, I think, are far more common than we imagine. So I think that's what really drives me to try to figure out what's the truth behind all these things, and that's where my books come in, and where the walks come in.
I see. Now, have you ever had an experience of your own? Anything strange, paranormal, ghostly?
Well, when I was living in Rochester, I went to school out there to get my master's degree, and I was living next to this abandoned house. And I would always hear this violin music being played in there in a completely abandoned house. And I found out later on that used to be the faculty building for the Eastman School of Music many, many decades ago. So and the music that they were playing, whatever these ghosts, were just this horrible stuff, like death dirges and things you might hear on Schindler's List. I mean, it's just stuff that would just spook you out late at night, and that's kind of what got me at least interested in some of the paranormal stuff that I talk about today on the tours.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Now, is it something that, I mean, do you put time into researching this, or is it something you just do out of curiosity and fun? Because I've had paranormal experiences, and the whole ghostly thing. I didn't see one, but I certainly seen the results of one, and so I know there's something there. I don't make fun of it. I think it's a very real phenomena, but for me, it was fun investigating it until stuff happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for me, yeah, it's the tours that I do in my books. It's all from original research, talking to people that live or work in these places, and it's all really based on fact and evidence. I come at it from the perspective of an historian. I mean, I've been teaching U.S. history for about a decade now, and I try to bring that side of it to my students, and I think that's really piqued their interest a lot. They seem to be more interested in that kind of thing than the standard history textbook stuff that we get fed on a regular basis. These are the kind of things that they are interested in. They really interest me too.
I see. So if somebody wants to go on one of these paranormal walks, how do they go about doing something like that?
Well, it's pretty easy. The website, paranormalwalks.com, has the information. We don't start them until September. And we're going to do another one in downtown Buffalo this year, too, in the Cobblestone District. So there'll be an expanded schedule for the upcoming year. And, again, that's not till the Halloween season. But it's a lot of fun. It's affordable. Everyone gets free candy and free wristbands. And there's also an interactive side of it, too. People take their own photographs and tell their own stories. And it's just a way to have a nice, fun evening in the ghostly season of September and October.
No, fantastic. See, now if I was back in Rochester, I would definitely go for it. I go back periodically and visit usually, but I haven't been back in about the last 5 years now, almost. So it's about time to go back for a visit.
Well, one way it does connect to my book, I can just mention one of the sites on the Hamburg Walk. E. Howard Hunt, who I talk about in my JFK book, he was one of these men who confessed on his deathbed to be involved in the assassination to kill President Kennedy. He actually grew up in Hamburg, and we talk about to see where he lived, where he grew up. He's also a graduate of Hamburg High School, and he's also buried in Hamburg. So he gets a lot of play and a lot of discussion on the Hamburg Paranormal Walk because he grew up right in the village of Hamburg.
Fascinating. Yeah, I kind of smiled as I was looking through a lot of this today. I said, oh, good. Somebody who's in my neck of the woods. And, they talk about an area. I might know what they're talking about for a change.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I went to school at St. John Fisher. I graduated from there in '99, so you probably know where that is in Rochester.
I certainly do. Another person who he's been a guest on this show once, Richard Dolan. He's also in Rochester. He went to what school was it? Not the community college, the other one. I can't think of it, but anyways, he's from Rochester too. He went to school there, and he's actually a UFO researcher, so a whole nother ball game. But yeah, out of almost 8 years, you're the third guest that I've had from my hometown area. So
I feel very special about that. That's awesome.
So your book, Why the CIA Killed JFK and Malcolm X, The Secret Drug Trade in Laos. Tell me a little bit about that and how you put it all together. It never gets old talking about JFK and certainly Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and what happened to these guys and why it happened.
Right. And just we can mention, too, that on Saturday, it is the 50-year anniversary of the Malcolm X assassination. He was killed on February 21st, 1965, so we're coming up on that this week. So it's a big week to talk about him, especially because of that anniversary. But this book, what I think is interesting about it is one theory that we often hear about the JFK assassination is that the military-industrial complex killed JFK. The reason he was killed was because he was going to end the Vietnam War, and they wanted to keep that war going for profit and for their own reasons for the Cold War. Now, my thesis, it kind of adds to it, because if you look at the whole area of Southeast Asia, the CIA was also there not just to fight the communists. They're also there to grow, sell, and trade drugs. And both JFK and Malcolm X were bitterly against that. And as long as that war could continue, the agency could keep selling heroin to the men who were fighting the Vietnam War. And you probably know, many people know, that many of our soldiers came back from Vietnam, and I've talked to them, addicted to heroin that they bought from agents of the CIA. And it even got to the point, and I put this in the book, where they were using the coffins of these dead soldiers to ship heroin into the United States. And President Kennedy and Malcolm X were trying to stop all of this.
Yeah, and I know some people who had served in Vietnam, and they told me some pretty horrid stories, and drugs was a big part of it, as a matter of fact. So yeah, that's it hasn't always been about that. I mean, it is now. It's like they're using our troops to guard the poppy fields.
Oh, I know. I mean, yeah, Afghanistan is now overtaken Southeast Asia as the largest area that grows opium, which gives us heroin and morphine and codeine. So yeah, we also can make it tied to the current war on terrorism that is used, again, as you said, to protect the opium fields in Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's like it's grown. It's gotten bigger. That's for sure. It's got a lot bigger now. Was JFK? I mean, was he knocked off? And based on your research, was he knocked off for multiple reasons? Like not only Vietnam. I know that he wanted no Vietnam War, but also didn't he want to rip apart the CIA and maybe rebuild it?
Absolutely, yeah. He wanted to scatter it into the winds and shatter it into 1,000 pieces. He was so angry at them because of the Bay of Pigs invasion, when they tried to trick him into going to war against Cuba. And he said after that, he just wanted to destroy them. And in fact, that's exactly what he set out to do. He tried to transfer their covert operations to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and try to do all he could to end their occupation in Southeast Asia. The problem, though, was that the agency has a black budget that they get from the Congress. So they can justify staying there through meetings with the Congress, getting their own money from the opium trade and from their black budgets. So the president fights tooth and nail throughout his administration to try to get them out of Southeast Asia and try to end the drug trade. And what they want him to do, they want him to commit 60,000 ground troops to Laos to fight the war on terrorism. She said war on communism there. And he resists this every year. He will not do it. And what they want is 60,000 more customers to sell heroin to. And the final straw for them is when he decides to end the Vietnam War by 1965. And then at that point, he's assassinated in November of 63.
Isn't it amazing the racket that they have going today? I mean, the CIA brings the drugs in, puts it on the streets, and then they get to arrest people for it, so they make money off it, putting it on the streets. Then they make money again by arresting people for it, and then the prison systems that are privately owned make money from housing these prisoners.
Yeah, and Malcolm X, way back in the 60s, was talking about just what you were saying, that it was destroying people's lives. It was destroying many of the urban centers like New York City, where he was based out of. And he was talking about how the white man's poison, as he put it, was just killing so many people in their lives. And again, he becomes a target once he started talking about this. And he also talks about ending the Vietnam War. And the agency tried to kill him twice before he ends up getting assassinated in February of 1965. And by the way, we don't even know who killed Malcolm X. We know it was the agency, but the men who actually pulled the trigger have never been held accountable for this. 3 guys got arrested, and 2 of them were not even at the assassination scene. So it's possible that the assassins are still alive today who killed Malcolm X.
And didn't he get gunned down? Was it New York he got gunned down in?
Yeah, the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem, yeah.
Yeah.
In front of his family, no less. His wife and children were there. And it just makes it even more tragic. His young girls were watching his father get killed, and just brutal execution by the agency, and just bitterly done in just a gruesome way.
Oh, and in my opinion, I say that when it comes to the CIA and even the FBI, in some sense, it's just really it's the mafia. The mafia never went away. They just, they joined them. I mean, they are the mafia. The way they do things, they don't care. They don't care if you got children around. You're in the way. They're going to take care of you.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even like you said, the mafia. The agency enlists the mafia many times to do their bidding, and they're a good. William Pepper talked about this in a book called State of Execution about the MLK assassination. He was talking about how the agency uses the mafia as a cover agency to put blame on them, so the real killers are never really discovered, and blame is cast to the mafia as an easy way to get a scapegoat for the public to look at.
Yeah, and they're very good at doing that, and you'll notice that every time they do get a scapegoat, that scapegoat winds up dead, so nobody can ask them questions.
That's right, yeah. Absolutely. And there are a couple of men we could talk about that ended up dead. Gary Webb, he was a reporter for the San Jose Mercury News. He wrote about the agency's drug trade in South America and Middle America, and he was killed by them in 2004. And he got reported for the Mercury News in San Jose. And another guy named James Lomax, he was going to do a film about how the agency killed Malcolm X, and his brakes got cut, and he had this mysterious car crash back in 1970 before he could do the movie about the Malcolm X assassination.
Yeah. And, well, with JFK, I know that some people speculate that the mob might have been involved because they were upset with him. But even I don't think so. I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but, I've watched so many films and I've seen, they talk about this magic bullet that is just magic BS is what it really is. I mean, yeah.
That's really right, yeah.
Yeah, this guy was taken out, and he was taken out by, the CIA. I strongly feel like they were completely involved and pretty much had the most to do with it.
They had the motive and the means and the opportunity. And just to go back to E. Howard Hunt, he was a member of the agency since almost its inception. And he was, you probably know, a member of the Nixon administration. He was put in jail for his involvement in the Watergate scandal in the 70s. And before he dies, he calls his son to his deathbed, and he tells his son, get out the tape recorder, get out the notepad, got some things to share with you that he's been holding secret for many, many years. And he just spills the beans about how the agency conspired to kill President Kennedy, names and names, and talks about how he was involved too. And a lot of his things have been corroborated by other historians over the years. So it's been, I think, his testimony based on looking that stuff up with other people's work, it points directly to the agency.
Yeah, and to give a confession on your deathbed, I mean, why lie? I don't see anybody lying at that point. What the hell's the point of lying, so.
Yeah, it's almost like talking to a priest, really. You're trying to cleanse your soul so you can move on and rest in peace. So he's trying to come to terms with a lot of his demons that he had at that point in time, and he was just letting it all kind of hang out at that point.
Yeah. So there's a lot that has been kept, and of course they've got the files of the investigation and such, aren't they? Locked down, top secret.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you one example. A guy named David Morales, we can mention for a second. Howard Hunt. He pins one of many different names. He pins the responsibility on. He says Morales was involved in the assassination, and he obviously was an agent. Morales was also involved with the drug trade in Laos in many different ways, helped to run it. And there are 61 files that are still sealed on David Morales. And we also know that Morales admitted to being involved in the assassination. He's told it to many different people. And we also know that he was probably also at the scene of the RFK assassination in 1968. And so he connects in many different ways to both Kennedy assassinations, and there are files sealed on him, 61 of them, in fact.
So who does the CIA answer to? Nobody? I mean, are they, apparently, they seem to be in charge in some sense.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, it doesn't even have to be this way. It seems like, we go back to 1968. Robert Kennedy, you've got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, he knew that he was taking a big risk to run for president that year. It was, he even told his mother that he was going to run, and his mother she basically said, they're going to kill you, right? So he runs anyway. But he feels responsible to do something about how the nation is going off course. But he had been secretly investigating who killed his brother. And he had concluded that it was the agency that assassinated his brother back in 1963. And one thing he wanted to do, if he became president, was reopen the investigation into the assassination and prove that the agency killed his brother. And at that point, he would have the authority and the clout to dismantle the agency and hold trials for treason and therefore executions of the men who assassinated his brother 5 years earlier. So if that happens, the agency does not exist in the 70s and 80s, and we have a very different life today probably in the United States. Do we even have a war on terrorism today if that agency does not exist for the previous 30 to 40 years? Probably not.
Oh, yeah, and a war on drugs, and I mean, there's a war on everything.
Yeah. And that's a big turning point there when he gets killed, because the hope and the power of the presidency to kill off that agency, it ends with him. And Richard Nixon expands the war into Laos and into Cambodia, and a lot of things ended when Robert Kennedy died in June of '68. A lot of hope died with him.
Yeah, and it's just, I think back now, and it was a little before my time, but I think back to that time, and I say it's been the same from then right till now. I mean, the power has become greater by the evil that's in charge, and the people have always stood down. They've always, they might ask some questions, but they'll quickly accept the official narrative. And just say, okay, well, that's good enough for me. Our government wouldn't do this.
Yeah. It seems like there were a few generations in our country's history that would be willing to stand up and change things, but not many. It seems like nowadays Most people just want to just watch cable TV and sit back and play on their iPads.
Oh yeah, well, they're getting 500 channels now. I mean, that's a lot to keep you pretty busy. And then they've got the Xbox and all these great things. And I joke around, but I kind of mean it. If they wanted to get people in the FEMA camps, all they would really have to do is load them up with 3 meals a day, 350 channels, and an Xbox, and people would walk right in.
Now, it's not to say that everyone is like this, but
No.
It does get me discouraged. I could say that a lot of my students, though, they do encourage me. A lot of them are very intelligent, very smart, and they know and they can identify, BS when it's in front of them. And they know when the truth is out there and they can get at it. So I see a lot of hope in them.
Yeah,
And,
I would agree because, as much as I talk about how people are just in the dark a lot, every time I think that there's no hope, there's some young guy, like I had a 16-year-old on this show who's doing some great activism and another one who was 19 who came, and they bring me hope. I said, well, here's kids that aren't sitting home playing video games, are actually getting involved, and they're educating their peers about what's going on. So that always gives me a little hope. So yeah, you're right. It's not everybody.
Yeah, we can't, I don't mean to generalize. We got to find hope when we see it. And all of us need to just keep working toward the point where we can keep expounding the truth and making sure that we hold people accountable if our government is lying to us.
Well, let me ask you this. We'll speculate just a little bit here, but how different do you think that this country would be today if the truth came out about what happened to JFK at the time when it happened and it was all exposed for what it really was?
I think we would have a completely different country today. I mean, I think that so much would be different. I don't think there would be a war on terrorism today. I don't think that would exist, because a lot of the damage that happens to our nation, the credibility that our nation has, was done by that agency over the course of the decades since the 1960s. So if it is dismantled and they're held accountable, then we're in a different world today. Another thing, too, to think about is JFK, Malcolm X, Robert Kennedy, and Dr. King. They were 4 big advocates for the working class. Dr. King was going to start a poor people's campaign in 1968, which would have achieved enormous levels of success if RFK was president. And I would guarantee that there would not be this income inequality today in this country. It would never even exist if these 4 men were not assassinated. It wouldn't even come close to existing. Our country would be in a different state economically and a different state politically if those men had a chance to live.
Yeah, and so I hear people sometimes say, well, if they didn't do this, wouldn't somebody else have stepped in and tried to do these things? And that might be true, but that's no reason to just ignore it and turn our heads and turn our cheeks the other way and let them get away with these things, because the fact is, the reason, them getting away with murdering an American president, that is why they've gotten away with everything else since. And that includes, in my opinion, the World Trade Centers and a lot of other things that have happened because of the corruption and the greed.
Just think of it this way. I mean, what would happen if George Washington, John Adams, John Hancock, Paul Revere, and Sam Adams were all assassinated in 1775? Would we have a country today? Would someone else step up in their place?
Yeah, you got to wonder. And if they did, what would their agenda or motive be?
I think that history is often individual choices that we make, and if we're not allowed to make them, then I don't think that they could be made. History is the actions of individual people, and if they're removed from the narrative, it changes completely. So I think we're still feeling just the devastation of the lack of their leadership to this day.
Yeah, and it's for me. I just I guess when I was in school, and everything they were teaching me in school, I used to buy into a lot of it. And then I got researching myself and doing this radio show and talking to historians like yourself. And I find out that, it's the winners who write the history, and that you still, even today, you have to do your research to understand what really went on. So I'm glad that there's people like you who do this. And let me ask you this: how much heat do you get, teaching the real history? As I'm sure, in your class, do you talk about these things?
Oh yeah, I do a lot.
Yeah.
There's some resistance from it, not from my department chairman or anything. I mean, he's very good about all this. He's very open-minded, but certainly some students perhaps are not really open to it. Don't really understand it quite yet. But I think in general, if I can just present the facts as I see them clearly, without any bias, then I think that's kind of what wins the day. And I always put in almost all my books, as what John Adams said, facts are stubborn things. And I think that's why I have to stick to them and just put them in front of people, and you can judge for yourself whether you think it's the truth.
Yeah, and nowadays, you've got, we're in an information age, and so there's so much on the internet now, and that's just as dangerous as it is great, because there's a lot of disinfo on the internet too. So, it's I always press my listeners to do their research, no matter what anyone says. But this JFK, I actually had somebody about 3 years ago. They wrote an email, and we were doing a show on JFK, and he says, "Oh, that's so old. Why do we even bother talking about this anymore?" And I thought, are you kidding me? I mean, this is like one of the most important things, because I think this was a big failure by we the people. I mean, we let this get away.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we were saying, it's not just his assassination; it's the collective impact of his assassination, Malcolm X, Robert Kennedy, and Dr. King. If you look at them all, because they all should be viewed as a unit. They're all together linked by the Vietnam War and the drug trade.
Yeah.
And the collective impact of that, as I was explaining, I mean, we feel that with the income inequality today, the war on terrorism, we see these things directly. And the mainstream media never talks about this. They never talk about the historical trends that got us to this point. And if you could just see how we got to this point, then I think we could appreciate how we can not repeat the mistakes again in the future.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, the mainstream media, I've had some guests who come on sometimes, and I have to bite my tongue really hard, because they'll say, "Oh, well, Fox News is good." And I'm thinking, look, these people are all reading. They're not reporters no more. They don't go out in the field and investigate. They give you what's given to them on their teleprompters, and so that's the news is fed to them, and so it's not real. It's fake. It's somebody's making up that reality, and again, they're the winners. They're writing history.
Yeah, when I talk in my class about Lincoln Stevens, the progressive muckraker, I mean, we need more men like him. I mean, he was an investigative journalist that he didn't care if you were a Democrat or Republican. He would just look for the truth and investigate and expose whoever was violating the public's trust. And there are so few reporters out there nowadays that just lack an agenda, and you can trust and say, this is the kind of person we can go to and say that they don't lie to us, or they don't have an agenda.
Yeah, that's right. And even myself, I had, when I first started doing this radio show, I had some people in this business that I looked up to that were like heroes of the business to me. And then as I got going, I found out they were just more about the show, about the entertainment and the money, and that they really didn't give a damn otherwise. And so, things change. It's important that we get the truth out now about these things. And, because I think that if we understand our past, we could prevent repeating that past, now. So I think it's that important. We do have to take a break here. So why don't we do that? And then we'll come back and discuss this further. Lines will be open. If anybody wants to call in, they are welcome to. The number is 317-2264. My guest is John Kerner, and again, he is a professor of American history. We are discussing why the CIA killed JFK and Malcolm X, talking about the secret drug trade in Laos. We'll get into more of that when we come back, folks. Don't go anywhere. Again, this is Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network. We'll be right back.
You have found the best place on the internet by tuning into K98Talk.com, where it is our mission to broadcast the very best variety programming, giving you a balance of information from every angle and letting you decide. We are here to serve our listening audience with a proven track record. So stay with K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network, and we will keep you informed.
Hello, this is Lisa Marie, here to tell you about OxySilver, legally available only through CureShop.com and HealthyWorldStore.com. Read Dr. Horowitz's book, Healing Celebrations, to learn how miracle healings can be made to happen through faith, prayer, and a pure diet. Get great immunity using vitamin C, D, and OxySilver, Liquid Dentist, GI Flora Pro, a top-shelf probiotic. Use 528 Superfood as a great tasting meal substitute for energizing organic nutrients and losing weight, and Zeolove and natural clays for detoxifying your body. OxySilver oxygenates and resonates with 528 for faster healing. So help save lives, putting drug lords and criminals out of business, and keep the LNM network broadcasting. Register for our free cooperative at healthyworldaffiliates.com/4948 and buy OxySilver and other great products in package specials at great discounts from theCureShop.com. Buy OxySilver, GI Flora Pro, 528 Superfood, Zeolove, and Love Minerals at great discounts at CureShop.com. That's CureShop.com with 2 P's. Cure Shop. Or call toll free at 1-888-621-7611. That's 1-888-621-7611. Do it now.
It's the middle of the night and there's nothing much to do. Bring your insomniac self over to Late Night in the Midlands and learn something. We've got every topic you can think of with very little being off limits. Alien abductions, government corruptions, the stuff that's got your sleep disrupted. Come join the conversation tales and tune into Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera.
In many cases is the idea that the aliens are essentially trying to create a hybrid mix of themselves and ourselves. They're interested in our
smaller than human bodies.
Beyond that,
the heads were larger and the eyes were rather sunken and a little slanted.
Range of
and what happened was they came to me.
They were not of this earth.
We have to face up to reality that, for example, the UFO phenomenon is a real phenomenon, no question about it. So anybody who debunks the UFO phenomenon itself don't know what he or she's talking about.
Hey, Michael, I promised you I'd call in for a little bit, and here I am.
I know that I bashed Bush the entire time. I wasn't even allowed on Coast to Coast there for a while because I was told not to talk about Bush.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Late Night in the Midlands. We cover everything. Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, my guest, John Kerner, and we are discussing the CIA, JFK, Malcolm X, you name it, the CIA in general, a mafia, government-funded, you and me funded type mafia, who is not shy throughout history of taking people out who get in their way. And, you know, JFK wanted to dismantle the CIA, and they weren't going to have that, so they had to get him out of the way. But that's not the only reason that they did it. They did it for multiple reasons, Vietnam War being one, the drug trade, many things. Now, John, the money was, I guess, likely being used for black op programs, amongst other things like lining their pockets, right? I mean, because they had to have been pulling in quite a few dollars from this illegal activity.
Yeah, we're talking about millions of dollars. And heroin is such a lucrative drug to sell because so many men need heroin for stress relief in Vietnam because of the type of combat that they're having to go through. So we're talking about many hundreds of thousands of men who buy this drug, and 60,000 end up killing themselves when they return home from the war. So I mean, it is a lucrative, expensive drug trade. They use it to do a number of different things. They build gambling casinos in Laos with the drug money. And in 1968, the CIA ended up having a meeting with Santo Trapicante where they enlisted his help to help bring the drugs into the United States. That was January of 68. They started that. So again, we're talking about a lot of money here, a lot of access to the drugs on the part of the agents and infiltrating this into the United States. And we talked before that even in the sense that they would fill coffins with heroin that they would ship across the ocean in the bodies of these dead soldiers to get into the United States.
That is absolutely sick, but I've heard stories like that where they would use the bodies of the soldiers. I mean, wow. It's and now I guess they still do that kind of thing, but they get away with it now because they're in control of everything that goes on. It seems they're the only ones that don't get caught, I guess.
The other thing I can mention too, we're discussing the things that they did. President Kennedy found out through his brother-in-law, Sergeant Shriver, who was heading the Peace Corps, that the agency was trying to kill off the Peace Corps too. They were trying to infiltrate the Peace Corps with their own agents to turn it into an agency for war and not for peace. And this is one other way they were trying to do all different things to counter JFK's policies of peace, even to the point where they're trying to destroy the Peace Corps. And in fact, if you try to join the Peace Corps today, it says on their website, if you're ever in the agency, you cannot join the Peace Corps. You're banned from it.
Oh, wow. You know, I just read an article at the beginning of the show, actually, that the military said that they're having trouble with like 71% of potential recruits are either have pharmaceutical drug problems or obesity or what have you. And I'm thinking that's probably part of the plan. Let's get everybody just so bad that they can't be a military. And, you know, it's amazing to me what's happened. But, you know, if it was up to me, all the troops would come home. I'm with JFK on that. You know, no war. We don't need it unless you come scoofing around on our borders or, you know, mess with one of our allies. I mean, that's where it's supposed to be, but that's not where it is. And so now Vietnam had a lot to do with drugs. Now, where does Laos come in to all this?
Well, Laos is right next door to Vietnam, and at that point in time, it was the largest area to grow opium in the world. So the agency gets in there in the 1950s to fight communism, and they find out because of that Laos is involved with growing opium, which they can then turn into heroin. So the agency stays there throughout the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and they use Air America to transport the drugs throughout the area, and they use the local people to grow the drugs and sell them, and they take the profits and they justify staying there because they say they're fighting communism. And President Kennedy, almost every single spring, has to fight back the Joint Chiefs of Staff trying to trick him into committing ground troops to Laos. They want 60,000 men to fight the war on terrorism. I keep saying that. The war on communism in Laos. And he resists this every single year. And again, if they get 60,000 ground troops, they can have more customers. And the final straw for the agency is when he commits to end the Vietnam War. He decides to do that at the end of 1963, and then all the troops will be home by 65. And that is the last straw for them. And of course, he gets assassinated in November of 1963.
Yeah. Now, the CIA, I guess, would you say that they're just as dangerous or more dangerous now than they were then? I mean, because again, it seems like they're doing the exact same thing today that they were doing then.
It seems like, yeah, nowadays they're even more powerful because they're ingrained in society. Back then, it wasn't clear that they were even going to continue to exist. They were a relatively new agency. They were created because of the Cold War. And President Kennedy felt that they were unconstitutional, that they should not even exist, that all their powers should be done in the Defense Department and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So he does a number of things to try to transfer power to him and to the Department of Defense throughout his administration. And he even, at one point, negotiates a peace settlement in Laos in the summer of '62. So he does a number of very successful things while he is president to try to counteract their power. So he becomes, again, just a direct threat to their very existence, and especially in the summer of '62. And interesting side note to this, I was asked this question on 2 other interviews about Marilyn Monroe, if she has any kind of connection to this. And there, of course, has been some suspicion that she was killed by the agency, too. And it seems like that summer of 1962, when she died, JFK was doing many, many different things that was making that agency very angry at him, or making them upset, I guess you could say. His policies of peace, trying to withdraw from Vietnam and Laos, resisting going to war in Cuba. And it seems like that may have been almost like a revenge killing against him to show him, what they can do to anger him if they're going to do things like that. And they can respond with that sort of assassination against her.
Yeah. Now, do you feel that Lee Harvey Oswald had any involvement whatsoever with the president's death? Or do you think that obviously he was a fall guy, but do you think that he was under some kind of mind control, or what was going on there, do you think? Because, they obviously killed him so he wouldn't talk, because he did say the 1 or 2 times he did actually get to speak to the media before they carted him off, he did say that, he was being set up in so many words.
Yeah, he said he was a patsy.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he could have got from the 6th floor to the lunchroom in time. The Dallas police come into the Texas School Book Depository, and they see him there having his lunch just minutes after the assassination, and he's not out of breath. So he would have had to run down all those flights of stairs and still not be out of breath and having his lunch. And no one sees him come down those stairs. And there were people on the stairs that would have seen him come down from the top floor, and they don't see him. So it doesn't seem like he was there. It seems like, again, from his own admission, he was just the fall guy for it. And they had this set up from the very beginning that he would take the blame for it. And with his Russian connections, it would be perfect to blame this on him, and you'd have the communist stain because he lived in Russia for a number of years.
Oh, yeah. Blame it on the Soviet Union. So now we kind of touched on this before too, but you say then that you are seeing a light bulb in our younger folks, and that they're waking up, that a lot of these things that have been called conspiracy theories through the years, they're really not so far-fetched now. And even though the mainstream media still tries to push it all off like it's just a bunch of tinfoil hat wearing nutcases, but
let me give you an example of that too. Let's go to the RFK assassination for a second here. This surprises my students a bit, because this isn't even controversial any longer. Sirhan Sirhan, the assassin for Robert Kennedy, he admitted a couple years ago now that he was trained by the agency, that he was brainwashed by them, and he was basically manipulated to do the assassination against his will. So even the assassin himself, who is now in a California jail, has admitted to the mainstream media that he is involved with the agency, and that's never going to make it into any history textbooks. And the same year that he said that, a woman named Nina Rhodes Hughes came forward. She was at the RFK assassination, and she said that she saw a second gunman that shot Robert Kennedy. And she kept quiet about this for many decades because she felt if she said anything, she'd be killed. And again, that came forward, I guess, 2 years now. So Nina Rhodes Hughes and the assassin for Robert Kennedy, these are mainstream media reports on the internet, on different newspapers, and that stuff never will be put into history textbooks. It's not even controversial. It's just what happened.
No, it won't be in the history books. They don't want nobody to know. No. Do you feel that, because I guess let's face it, people who have gotten too close with this whole JFK thing, it seems that things have happened in the past to some of them, and so I'm going to ask you how you feel about your book and the publicity that you're putting out. I mean, do you feel in any way? I mean, some think that, it's old now, they're not going to do anything to anybody, but I don't believe that. What about you?
Well, I could share with you a story, the thing that happened to me last summer.
Absolutely,
that really has,
please do.
Scared me. Last summer, my book went into publication, and I had never been sick before in my entire life. Never been to the hospital. I maintain myself in good health. I work out, play tennis, that kind of thing. So at that point, I was in good shape. But then all of a sudden, I got struck down with this illness that just ripped my body back and forth. I had to have my lungs drained, my throat drained a number of different times, cut into. I lost 45 pounds. I had to have my tonsils taken out. You can tell my voice is still not even recovered from all this.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital for many months, and a number of different doctors kept asking me, have you ever been to Southeast Asia? I said, never. I never even left the country. So they said, well, you have some kind of illness that is only unique to Southeast Asia. It's never once shown up ever in the United States. It looks like you've been deliberately poisoned somehow in some way, and you probably should be dead.
Wow.
So that happened last summer, and I was able to fight my way through it, and I got most of my health back, most of my weight back, most of my voice back, but it's been a struggle.
Did they never figured out exactly what it was?
No, they couldn't figure it out. It was some kind of flesh-eating, blood-borne illness.
Ooh.
That they said it looked like it was deliberately given to me in some way. It looked like some kind of perhaps poison of some kind that was unique only to Southeast Asia and would have been given deliberately to me in some fashion.
I see. And so anything come to mind to you as to what may have caused it? I mean, I'm sure you've given it strong thought. Have you narrowed it down?
Yeah, I have. I've talked to a lot of people about this. It does bother me. I mean, certainly, it does concern me in a number of different ways. I mean, my family, by the way, is a very patriotic family. My father served in the military. My grandfather did. My brothers-in-law. These different people, we've served our country proudly, and I think it's disrespectful to do this to anyone if this is in fact what happened, by the way. But anyway, I've talked to two different people that I trust, and they're psychics. I know people don't often trust psychics. They think that they're charlatans, but I wasn't paying them to do these readings. I know these people from my personal experience. They're friends of mine. And I asked them, what happened here? can you identify what took place? And they both independently said to me, and said the same thing to me, that they think that I was poisoned at a very specific event that happened late in May. And that they came to that conclusion, again, as I said, independently of each other. It's the same conclusion from these two different people. One that I know for a fact he is, as I said, just a top of the line, not in any way a charlatan, just a good man in every way, and knows what he's doing. He's a good medium and just a good human being.
Yeah. Now, so they had to get JFK out of the way, and they had to get Malcolm X out of the way, and Martin Luther King and RFK. I mean, they really went to town here. What was the story with Malcolm X, though? I mean, what was how was he such a danger?
Well, for a number of different things with him. I mean, Malcolm X, I have so much respect for this man. He was so misunderstood. People just assume he is a man of violence and anger, and he has this image of a man who just advocates racism. All that is just not true in almost any way. He evolves at the end of his life. He knows by then that whites are not evil. He wants to work with Dr. King. He is speaking out against the Vietnam War and the evils of drugs. He shows that we can evolve, that we can change, and we can become better human beings, and see how we can work with people and not against them. And at the end of his life, he was trying to build a coalition with African countries and African American people. And he was trying to show that the United States was doing a number of different things that were in violation of human rights. And he was going to try to put this in front of the United Nations with Dr. King's help. And Dr. King and him were going to have a unified voice to protest against human rights violations that the U.S. was committing.
Oh,
that's a unified voice against the Vietnam War.
Yeah, that's a crime in itself right there, coming together, uniting. They don't like that.
No, they would have been an unstoppable force, those two men. And that, I think, would scare many people, that they were coming together in so many different ways at the end of Malcolm X's life, and it made him a target.
Do you think that, like today, as we speak about this, there's so many people who are speaking out about the things that are going on. Do you think because there are so many people speaking about it that these organizations like the CIA pretty much, I don't know, they feel like everybody thinks of it just, as we said, like conspiracy theories, like nothing to take serious out. They're just, they're just spreading, I don't know, they just want to make their shows bigger. It's the internet, or you know what I mean? I mean, is it taken less serious now because there's so many people talking about it?
Yeah, I think you can't call everything a conspiracy, because then it makes the real ones seem less possible or less real. Or you have to be clear about what is a conspiracy and what isn't, because it makes kind of muddies the waters for everything else, and it gives a bad name to when it really is a conspiracy. So yeah, you get this idea from people that if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're some kind of wacko or some kind of nut. But conspiracies are more common than we think. It's just people working together in a group, and we tend to do those things throughout history. We tend to work together and accomplish things in groups, not individually.
Yeah. But, I guess what I meant was that, if you, in certain areas, you start talking about these things, and people, they literally, they'll whisper behind your back, poor guy, he lost his mind, or he's,
You're right. That's sad. That's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. So now Laos, actually, I had a friend, who I grew up with, who was born in pretty much half his life he was raised in Laos, and he used to tell me about it, but I couldn't imagine it, some of the things he would tell me about. But so they played a big role in this. Now, do they still play a big role in this whole CIA drug ring? Or
Well, the agency is no longer in Southeast Asia. I mean, they're gone from there. But the fallout is still felt. There are still many unexploded mines in Laos that explode almost every week that maim the children there. So they're still suffering from their occupation. I think it's at least 2 or 3 people a week get killed by unexploded mines in Laos. They're left there by the agency.
Wow.
So they're still feeling the effects of that to this very day.
Jeez. Well, they ought to get some of those Amazon drones, put some feet on them, and start sending them through the fields. So,
right.
So was the mafia tied with the CIA? I mean, were they in cahoots together?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what ends up happening here is the agency enlists the mafia for a number of different things. They use them to kill many African leaders in the early 1960s. They try to get their help to kill Castro in the early 1960s as well. And the key thing for my book is when they get Santos Traficante to meet up with Vang Pao in Vietnam in January of 1968. And what happened there was David Morales and Ted Shackley, 2 agents of the CIA, they set up this meeting in Vietnam. And the point of this was, again, to get Traficante to agree to help bring the heroin into American marketplaces. And this was, again, January of 68. And after that, the agency kills Dr. King in April of that year and RFK in June of that year as part of their plan to help spread the drug trade into the United States. So, again, Traficante is key to that in terms of his help in January of 68 when all that gets going.
I see. Now, do you find it strange how people who preach togetherness or go against the establishment, how they always end up either dead or in prison? And this still happens today, as a matter of fact. There's some suspicious things that have happened even around Obama, where I understand the judge, was it not the judge, but the woman who filed the papers for Obama's citizenship and all that. Well, I forget the title she holds, but she wound up a plane crash. She was the only one in the plane who died. Just things like that happen. And it's been said that, Obama had ties with the CIA. And of course, Bush, he's another one. You look at Papa Bush, Bush Sr., and, he says that he didn't remember where he was when JFK was murdered. I mean, how could you not remember something like that? And now there's pictures that have come out that show him in the area.
Right, that he was probably in Dallas the day he was assassinated, yeah. And not only that, Bush Sr., he was at one point director of the CIA. And at that point in time in the 70s, when he was director, was the time when they were sealing all these documents about the assassination that we cannot see to this very day. So he has at least a direct or even indirect involvement with the assassination. He helped cover it up when he was director in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. In your opinion, would you say that JFK was the last real president that we had? I mean, has this country, in your opinion, been conquered without firing a shot on American soil, so to speak? I mean, if they've gotten away with things like assassinating the president and God knows what else they've gotten away with, just the Constitution is pretty much non-existent, it seems, these days. Would you say that he was the last real president and that we might have been taken over already?
Well, that's an interesting thing to say, isn't it? It's possible that you can look at it that way, yeah. I mean, he really was the last president that really tried to really put the power back in the hands of the people, really. The Federal Reserve System, he felt, needed to be changed, overhauled. He felt that the CIA needed to be overhauled and changed. He wanted to basically put a lot of the apparatus of government back in the hands of the people, their elected leaders. And you don't really see that since him. I mean, his brother tried to do that. If he became president, he would have done those things, but he never did. And certainly JFK tries to do that. And there's even really an interesting event that happens in March of '63 that really kind of talks about what you're saying. That is really frightening. You probably know what Operation Northwoods is. It's this Black Flag event where the agency, with the Joint Chiefs of Staff's help, they had planned to blow up a U.S. passenger jet with Americans on board. They're also going to blow up a U.S. Navy warship, killing the U.S. sailors on the ship, start some riots in Miami, and blame all this stuff on Fidel Castro to trick the public into going to war against Cuba.
Oh,
So
now if I could interrupt for just a second, it's amazing you just said that, because recently, and I'll say as recent as the last couple months, I seen videos, and there was actually protests going on apparently in Miami. This was showing, and these were supposed to be Muslim people who are holding up signs about killing Christians and doing all this stuff. And I'm thinking, really, in Miami? I mean, they're doing this in the United States, and nobody's, it's okay. And so
Miami has been a CIA base for many years. They have a lot of secret bases down in Miami for many, many years, but based on their hopes to invade Cuba, they were going to use that as a launching point, which never happened, obviously, but they were hoping it would. But the point of Operation Northwoods was that they were going to try to trick the public into thinking that the nation was being attacked by a bunch of terrorists, but in fact it was our own government that was doing it, and they were going to use that as a basis to go to war against Cuba. And JFK found out about this, and he was angry, to say the least, and he shut the program down in March of '63, much to the anger of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the agency.
Wow. And this is what kind of bothers me. You would think that every single American citizen should be on the edge of their seat right now saying, what in the hell is going on here? But, I mean, look at the things that they get away with, and just the control. I mean, and there's so many breadcrumbs that are left that ties it. And like I've heard you say, going through some of your stuff today, you kept saying follow the money. I believe that. Definitely follow the money, and believe me, they've left them trails, but nobody wants to believe it. They think it's all just made up stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you just got to do the research. I mean, I spent many hours listening to President Kennedy talk to his cabinet. Anyone can look at this stuff or listen to it. The JFK Library has just hours and hours of these cassette recordings where he talks about the policy towards Vietnam and Laos, and it's all there. And I spent a lot of my research just doing that, digging through the archives and listening to these recordings that he talks about with his cabinet back in the early '60s.
And so, John, I mean, how do you think all this relates to today, 2015? How has what's happened in the past, where has it led us today? Where do you see us? I mean, what has it done?
I think there's two specific things that we're dealing with today that come from these four assassinations. I think that the income inequality today, where the rich control, the top 1% control most of the nation's wealth and power. I don't think that ever happens if JFK, RFK, Malcolm X, and Dr. King are not assassinated. Dr. King's Poor People's Campaign would have achieved success with RFK as president, and these four men would not let that happen to the country. It would never take place. And secondly, and if RFK becomes president, he dismantles the CIA completely, holds them accountable, and the 60s and 70s and 80s go forward without that agency and doing the different things they did to create anger against our country. So is there a war on terrorism? Maybe not. There's also, we can point out that $1 trillion was spent on the Vietnam War, losing it. Could you imagine $1 trillion being spent on our country instead? What they would have done for infrastructure?
Oh, I know.
Job creation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What we could have done, the infrastructure is one thing, but so many more things that, I'll tell you, if I was president, I'd probably get shot like JFK did, because if not, things would change drastically. We would, all the troops would come home immediately. They'd be on our borders. They'd be doing, we'd get some jobs in this country real quick, and foreign aid, all that stuff. Oh, it would all be pulled right back in where it belongs. And I always say that you have to maintain your own backyard before you can help anybody else with theirs. And
isn't it, kind of ironic that the Cold War, we changed the Department of War to Department of Defense, and all we've done since then is fight offensive wars since then, not defensive wars.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've invaded countries who can't really defend themselves. That's what we've done. We've become the bully. We're the bully. In my opinion, we talk about terrorism. I mean, I'm already on the list, so I might as well say it. But I feel like the United States, the government here that is in control, that even those behind the scenes, that they are the biggest threat to this world right now. I mean, come on. I mean, I've seen videos where little kids are getting blown up by drones. And what they're saying is, well, we've got to go there to stop terrorism, so it don't come here. And I'm thinking, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, they're not packing their bags and coming here on airplanes to hurt anybody. So it's really sad what we've become and what we're doing. And I know some people have fallen for the Kool-Aid. They've drank it, and they think that we have to be doing a lot of what we're doing, and we don't. I don't know. We're worrying about Flintstones coming here and causing us harm. If we guarded our borders, I don't think we'd have to worry as much about it. But
our military is, what is it? The next 5 nations combined we have for our military. That's how much money we spent on our military budget.
Yeah. But yet, we're said to be vulnerable. I mean, we've got TSA at the airport, putting their hands and groping grandma. Meanwhile, our borders are wide open, and it's, so you're telling me in one breath that, well, we need the security at the airports, but in another breath, you say, don't worry about them open borders. It just don't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's just counterintuitive, really.
Yeah, it is. It's really the illusion. Now, I know some people have asked me about this, so I'll ask you. I'm being asked if there was an Israeli connection in any way to the assassinations. A lot of people, they feel like Israel is central command for everything that goes wrong, but I don't. I think that it's a group. I think it's, you got Americans, you've got Israelis, you've got Russians, I think that they're a melting pot of people who play the game of war on this world. But what do you think? Any kind of Israeli connection?
Well, the only thing that you can point to that's even kind of in a limited way that connects to it is that Sirhan was a Palestinian. So he's not an Israeli, but he does come from the Middle East, and he was recruited by the agency to assassinate Robert Kennedy. And Dr. King was starting to make some allusions that he might have some sympathies towards the Palestinian people before he became he was assassinated too. So there's some allusions there to some connections, but I think most of the real evidence points to what we were saying before.
Yeah.
Not so much to that.
So then you would say that, based on the evidence and research that you've come across, that the agency is who killed JFK, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and RFK, that they are responsible for those, based on what you've researched?
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, even Malcolm X himself, he even admitted to his biographer that he himself knew that the Muslims were not the ones trying to kill him, that it was the CIA. So Malcolm X knew who was out to kill him. Sirhan admitted that he was being trained by the agency. And we also know that for Dr. King, William Pepper's work has proved that beyond any doubt that the agency was involved with that assassination. And we also know that with President Kennedy, with that testimony of E. Howard Hunt, that they were involved in killing him. So if you just look at these things logically, without even too much work, you can get to the point where it's just pretty clear that they were involved in all 4 of the assassinations.
All right. And where can people get their hands on your book? And I got your website linked up on my homepage. It's paranormalwalk.com. Is that it?
Paranormal Walk. It's plural. Paranormalwalks.com.
Oh, okay. All right. Paranormalwalks.com. And they could get your book there.
Right. And there's also a contact section there if you want to, anyone wants to email me. Be sure to email me if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about. Please do that. And the book is on Amazon. Amazon Canada has it too. So please, I think it's an easy read. It's not too expensive, not too long, and makes for a good read, a good gift. So please get out there and read it if you get a chance to.
Okay, I got a couple more questions for you here. One is somebody asked if UFOs ever came involved in the research you did into JFK, because some speculate that he had some secret information about UFOs, which I don't think it had anything to do with that, but then that's just me. But did you come across anything like that?
I had heard that exact same thing in the last interview that I did. Maybe it's the same person asking the question. But yeah, I had looked into that too, and it seemed like he might have had, based on the Apollo program, a lot of the astronauts from the Apollo program may have been telling him a few different things that they had found out from the research for the effort to get a man on the moon, and that's where that had come from. Now, whether or not that was going to get him assassinated, I don't really know, but it's possible that he was hearing some things from men working in the Apollo program.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess somebody had asked this question. I think we kind of covered it, but asked about the drug trade being bigger today than it ever was. If they're asking me, I could say absolutely. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's almost like there's no end in sight to it. And the sad thing about this is, I mean, this all didn't even have to happen. We get to the point back in the 60s where all this could have been shut off from the beginning. And once Pandora's box gets open, it just grows and grows from there. And heroin is, as I was saying, it is such an addictive drug, so hard to get off. It has taken the lives of so many people. And again, these men who have fought in the war, just my heart goes out to them because of the type of combat that they went through. They need some kind of stress relief, and heroin provided that for them. And they took this with them to the United States, and many of them, as I said, took their own lives, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it just has not gotten better.
And we're seeing that same thing today, too, with troops coming back. And, I mean, they're so messed up in the head, they're taking their own lives.
Yeah, same thing with the Afghanistan veterans and the Iraq veterans. They're suffering from the very same things, the PTSD.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. We should be taking care of them with everything we have when they come home. Yeah, it's a shame that we're not. When I hear about a homeless veteran, that makes me angry. It's like, how dare you?
Those men and women, they should live the rest of their lives on taxpayer dollars, as far as I'm concerned. They should have to work a day the rest of their lives. They should be fed and cared for until the day that they pass away for what they did for our country.
I absolutely agree 100%. John, I want to give you the floor. If there's anything else that you'd like to get out there, anything at all, appearances you have coming up, or any kind of news or anything, you're more than welcome to go ahead and do that. And I do want to thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and we're going to have you back sometime, and maybe around Halloween, have you back sometime, talk about that paranormal walk.
Well, that'd be a lot of fun. We talk about ghost stories. There's a lot of fun stories we can chat about then. Yeah, that'd be a blast.
All right, great. Okay, so if there's anything else you want to get out there, the floor is yours, my friend.
The only thing I have coming up is I'm on the Jim Bohannon show on Friday night And I think that would be a lot of fun because it's one day before the Malcolm X anniversary of his assassination. So anyone wants to tune in, then that'll be the next time I'll be on the air if anyone wants to call in or listen up for that one. And that's about it as far as my calendar coming up. But again, if anyone has any questions, I'd love to talk over email on my website contact section there. Please do let me know.
All right, great. Well, John, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out to be with us tonight, and I look forward to talking to you again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good night, my friend.
You too.
Okay, everybody. There he is, and there he goes. John Kerner. He is a professor of American history and why the CIA killed JFK and Malcolm X, the secret drug trade in Laos. This is why these things are important. I mean, look what happened then, okay? You got the CIA involved with JFK's murder, okay? It's obvious, folks. There's no arguing. I'm not going to argue with anybody about it, all right? That's the deal. The government killed our president. They also, were behind 9/11. They had involvement there. Malcolm X, they had involvement there. And Martin Luther King, they killed him too because, he was speaking about people coming together. And, and this is what's happened throughout our history. And so JFK, it is very important. I mean, imagine if he hadn't been killed, what he might have accomplished and where we would be today. Imagine if people stood up then and said, hell no, you're not getting away with this. What if people did that then? And we were able to bust these people and put them away where they belong. I mean, where might we be today? It might be a different America. But, first they get away with that. They said, oh, my goodness, these people are just stupid. We could do whatever we want. So, then they do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I mean, they hit the trade centers and with a bomb. Then they come back a few years later and they put some planes into them. I don't know, folks. I don't know what it's going to take for people to step up. Maybe it's going to be, I don't know, Chinese soldiers coming into your door and, going after your wives, your mothers, your children. Maybe, and at that point, it may be too late. I know I'm a fearmonger, right? I'm just fearmongering. But you don't know that there's a Russian warship that's off of our coast. You don't know that either. You don't know that there's plenty of Chinese troops that are already here in the United States. And there are plenty of Russian troops that are already here in the United States, folks. So this is what I mean. This is why you got to ask yourself. I mean, how much of this is pretty much an illusion, a show being put on for us? I mean, so we're supposed to be at odds with Russia, but we've got reports that come in, reliable reports at that, about Russian troops being in the country. I mean, are you really going to let your enemy in your country? Right? So, and we get reports of Chinese troops, and these are reliable reports from reliable people. So this is really happening. These warships have been off the coast of Hawaii as well. So and then you get to these terrorists. They say, oh well, these videos they're fake or they're real or what have you. Well, ask yourself this: why would a terrorist? Why would these guys who like cutting off heads? Why would they blank out? If you've even bothered with any of the videos they've put out recently with the beheading of journalists, you'll see where they cut out the actual cutting the head off, and so then they cut the video and it goes to where the body's just laying there with the head laying on the chest. Okay, but there's no blood, no nothing. So what they do? Like wash it up in the desert? Did they wash it up? They get the sink and the sprayer and wash it up and then set it up for you? I mean, so some of these are fake, but now there are real ones too. Don't get me wrong. There are sickos over there who are cutting people's heads off. And, I've heard people talk about, well, they're going to invade Europe. They're going to come to the United States. I'll tell you what. You little headhunters come to this country, And you're going to have another thing coming, my friends, because it will be you that will be hanging from a tree. It won't be none of our heads. I could promise you that. We're a country that, unfortunately, we let our government push us around. Why, I don't know, but we do. And not we as a whole, but the majority of us do. And, but when you come on the shores and you start harming American citizens, you're going to find out. Oh my God. I mean, can you imagine what'll happen when they walk into the wrong ghetto? I mean, this is why we got to keep our arms, folks, because I'll tell you what, nobody's coming in my house and cutting off no heads. No, not without some bullets flying first. I could promise you that. So, yeah, some of these videos are fake. They are, these fire videos, I don't know about those, but I could say the last two beheading videos that I've seen, they're bullcrap. They're just literally bullcrap. They're set up. But now there are real ones. So this is what I mean. They put out the real stuff. They put out propaganda. It's hard to tell what's real and what's not. And then you get caught off guard. But, folks, I got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about this a little more. My guest is linked up on the homepage of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. So feel free to go ahead and check out his website. And if you're in Western New York, you might want to go on one of those paranormal walks. But we'll be back in just a few minutes. I've got Ira joining me here in the last hour. And, you're listening to Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network.
Radio has joined with the Hardened Structures team to provide state-of-the-art survival shelter design and build services at LNM Radio exclusive rates. Hardened Structures, with over 21 years experience in military, commercial, and private shelter design build services, are also offering LNM Radio listeners a free consultation, normally a $500 value. So click on the Hardened Structures banner on the home page or the chat and listen page and have peace of mind that no matter what happens, your family is protected.
The LNM Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information and subscribe today. Information on becoming an LNM subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you. You want the truth? Late Night in the Midlands knows you deserve it. That's why we make it easy for you to listen at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. Go on over, become a member, be informed, and by all means, inform others. Folks, we're not your average radio show. We cover everything. Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network. LNM is always looking for sponsors, so if you are interested in sponsorship or advertisement, on air or on our website, contact us at mv@latenightinthe.midlands.com. If you're interested in rebroadcasting or picking up the live feed for Late Night in the Midlands, then contact us at mv@latenightinthe.midlands.com and help us help you.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I'm Michael Vera. John Kerner was our guest tonight. He has since moved on, and we are, well, pretty much open lines here for the last hour. If anybody actually decides they want to call in, lines are open. We'll talk to you about anything. But what I was getting at before I took that break, and I really needed to take it, what I was getting at was that the real videos, the real beheadings, and there are real ones that are going on, those are the ones that the mainstream media is not telling you about, the ones that they're not promoting on TV and the internet and everywhere else. Those are the ones that you pretty much you'd have to, why you'd want to, I don't know, but you'd have to go and do a search for those, and they come up on various websites. And you can see they're real. I mean, these people are really getting their heads sawed off, and it's sick and it's nasty. And it's, I made the mistake of checking, look, there's a journalist in me. Okay. I have to go see some of this stuff so that I know if it's real or fake. How will I know if I'm going to be too much of a wuss to look at it? So I have to look at it. But I have. And I've looked at both sides. I've seen the real stuff. I've seen the fake stuff. The fake stuff, like these little orange uniforms you're seeing all of a sudden. These guys are dressed up like prisoners in Attica or something. They got their little orange unis on. A lot of that's fake. A lot of what you're seeing there is fake. And don't forget this ISIS. I'm not going to call them ISIL like they're trying to change it. No, they called them ISIS. And ISIS goes back to the Israeli pretty much their version of the CIA, their intelligence agency. That's what they called them many years ago, ISIS. So that's why they're trying to get you conditioned to ISIL now, because they don't want you to put that together. But that's where it's at, just like Al-Qaeda is a branch of the American CIA. And so that's what you have there. Now, that being said, there are sickos over there who would gladly cut your head off and rip your heart out. And for those sickos, all I can say is, you ever come to this country, all laws are off the book. I'm going ape crap on them myself. I don't know about you, Ira.
Yeah, most definitely. You were commenting before the break about how if they came over here, they'd be in some real trouble. I mean, we have more guns here in America than pretty much everywhere else combined. When you think about all the illegal guns that are out there, the legal guns, there's some guys that are sitting in bunkers that have walls filled with guns,
Well, here's the thing, Ira. If it happens in this country, if you start seeing these things happen in this country, it's because the evil cabal wants it to happen, and they've allowed it to happen. It's not because, oops, some of them slipped in over the border, or oops, they got through this. No, it's because they were escorted in and they were told what to do.
You got it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because these real terrorists over there, I mean, it's not like they're going to the airport, getting on a plane and getting off at JFK airport, and it's just, I don't see it happening like that. They're being recruited and brought over to do these things, and I don't think for a minute that they don't have them mixing in with Mexico and coming over our border, because they are. And I can guarantee you right now that they've got cells set up in this country, and I'm talking about the real terrorists, the ones who are allowing this to happen.
Right, exactly. I mean, how much of the border is actually not watched on a continuous basis?
Sure,
you've got
all of it.
the water areas, the practically the whole coast on both the west and the east coast are completely unguarded. If somebody could come in on a boat right there, cross the street, and there they go, right into the woods or whatever.
Well,
they're never going to be found.
The only sections of the border that are actually being watched are the parts that they show on that cable TV show that they do, whatever it's called, Border something or other.
Oh, yeah. Stories from the Border Patrol or whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't watch these things, but I make it my business to know about them. And so, yeah, they're just like the drug trade. I mean, look, they've got, what channel is it? History or one of these channels that do this thing where, the guys, they got the mask on there. I've been selling cocaine for 15 years. It's a tough business out here. You never know when somebody's going to come in and shoot you up, And they're doing, and so these cameramen are recording all these people. So let me get this straight. Then it's okay for me to go into, say, a rich neighborhood, find a couple burglars, and say, well, I'm just going to record you. You go ahead and you commit your crimes. I'm going to record you while you do it. We'll make a TV show out of it. And you're telling me no one could do nothing about that? They're recording crimes. They're recording attempted murders on people. I mean, so you tell me all that's not just put on. It's glamorizing it. They say, hey, we got to get more of these kids into selling drugs so we could fill up more of our prisons.
Yeah, exactly. Give them something to do. It's like the when the whole Paris false flag crap went down. The guys who did it, they sat down with the media and did an interview.
Yeah.
While the whole of the police department and everything is trying to find these guys to arrest them and stop them, they sit down to do an interview with the media, and that actually got played. What the hell?
Oh, exactly. Just like when they couldn't find bin Laden, but some CNN reporter can go out and have an interview with him.
Yes, exactly. Oh, we don't know where he is, but they walked right in and here, can we sit down and do an interview with you? Oh, why, sir, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're my good friend and you live somewhere around me, right, and you owe child support, and they can't find you, and they come to my house, hey, we know you were just with him, you know where he is. They're going to work me over to find that guy that owes child support. But, bin Laden, yeah, go on. Hey, bring him this note. Bring him some supplies. Give him a little black and white TV, because tell him we want to take some video.
Yeah, well, apparently he was all into porn and his goats. They came after my goat. That's why I went after America. They came after my goat.
Well, that's Obama's mad too, because they went after his goat. So he's angry about that too. He actually wanted to get a White House goat, but they made him get a dog. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so much that's going on that people just they're seeing it on the news. They're seeing it on this Hollywood screen that's on the small screen, and they're believing every word of it. And it's twisted. It really confuses me how people just can't see through it,
Well, and I don't think that, half the people, I guess, probably don't see through it. And then, I don't know. Let's separate. Let's categorize them. Okay. You've got those who see through it but pretend that they don't, because to admit that they see through it would mean they'd have to do something. Then you've got those who are just plain in denial, and they realize it deep down that something's wrong, but they're not going to admit it either way, not even to themselves. And then you've got the other category who just don't give a damn. It's like, as long as I get my check in the mail and I got some Hot Pockets to put in the microwave, that's all I care about. And then you got folks like myself and you and others who we really do care, but we're just, I'm one man, you're one man. If I go to the White House with a megaphone, I'm probably going to get shot, But if 50,000 of us did it, we might get a message across.
Yeah, and yet they'll welcome in BuzzFeed to come in and film Obama doing his staring into the mirror and smiling and taking selfies and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is fine for the interviews to be done, But yeah, us just sitting down with him and saying, "Hey, what's going on over here? Why is this going on? What's the truth behind it?" Oh, well, you're getting tossed out on your ass and maybe even shot and killed. And yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, I think Obama, didn't he used to play the part of Urkel? Remember that show? I think that's Urkel all grown up now.
It very well could be. You never know.
That's what I think we got there. But anyways, I do have a couple other. Oh, here's one that I wanted to talk about. Was this sinkhole in New Jersey? Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't yet.
The snow plow was plowing the road, and the sinkhole opened up, and the truck went. The guy lived. He's lucky. But yeah, sinkholes now opening up in New Jersey.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard about that one yet. That would be a hell of an experience, wouldn't it? Just driving down the road and
Well, yeah, it's going to be more of an experience for people, I think. It's I don't want to start acting like a fearmonger here. But the fact is that these sinkholes, they have increased dramatically in the last 10 years, and then you go to the last 5 years, they big time. And here's what gets me now. My conversation with Dr. Rand the other night, Sunday night, he says that he's actually moving to Florida. And I'm thinking, what? You're the guy that's been telling us, get away from the coast. Don't, Florida's going to sink. And now you're moving there?
That's a little weird. Yeah.
It's like, what do you got, a death wish? I mean, even though he's, whatever he does, he does. He is 75, so that's usually where people go when they get that age.
Yeah, well, Florida is God's waiting room, so.
Well, it kind of is. I don't want to say that because I do like Dr. Rand a lot, but I don't know. For me, I don't know. Florida's not the place because I think that that is going to sink. I think that maybe not all of it, but it's just so unstable. The sinkholes that they get.
Yeah, if it doesn't sink, the one thing that always came to my mind as far as Florida was concerned is that, think about the Canary Islands issue with or is it Canary Islands? The one that if the side of it falls into the ocean, that it's going to cause a really large tidal wave to occur.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think it's the Canary Islands. Anyways, it's been estimated that since Florida is so low and has no mountains or really any kind of hills to speak of, that a large enough wave would basically just completely wash right over Florida, and anybody that's there in Florida, they're gone. That's my biggest concern. Everywhere else in the country, you at least have the Appalachian Mountains on the east, the Rocky Mountains on the west. It's going to at least stop somewhere, but yeah, that's one thing I've always thought as far as Florida was concerned, that is a big possibility to occur. A big enough wave of some kind could easily wipe Florida off the map.
Okay, now here's the thing. Now, I for a long time I've said I think fracking probably contributes to these sinkholes. I think it might in some cases. However, there are places that there is no fracking going on that's getting sinkholes. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? I mean, for me, I think about it and I say, well, there's got to be some kind of stretching of the plates or something going on here, right? I mean, what would be causing all this?
Yeah, you combine the facts that the water is getting moved, the aquifers are getting drained because so many people are now living in these areas, dense populations. So there's more pressure on the aquifers. That causes different shifts to happen underground, and that could contribute to the material, I guess you could say, becoming a little bit more possible to break apart easier. Basically, it's got no buffer essentially.
So then that leads me to this. What if, we've got a couple organizations that are looking to send people to Mars. One's wants to send 100 to colonize, another one wants to send 24 for not only to colonize but for a reality TV show, so they're told. And how else do you get a sheeple to follow? Or add TV in their reality TV, and it's like, yeah, I'm all in. So I'm wondering if some millions of years ago, maybe even, did they do that on Mars and say, hey, we're going to send people to this planet Earth, and we're going to do a reality show. We want you to colonize it. And is it that not we, me and you, but that we know something is coming, and so now they're getting ready to send the chosen ones to Mars to carry on, and then maybe they're not even going to be told until they launch off. Maybe this will be a message they'll get on the way to Mars. I don't know, but what do you think?
Well, they actually went into that with the Interstellar movie. I don't know if you've seen that yet or not, but one of the parts of the movie essentially is that they are not telling people on planet Earth that planet Earth is dying, and that they're actually sending people out to colonize on these other planets because, well, Earth is done for, essentially. So in order to save humanity, we have to colonize somewhere else. It's a big possibility. I definitely do not discount it. I know that they have done so much severe damage here that it seems like they keep putting Band-Aids on just to keep people from waking up enough to notice that we're, cooked, essentially.
Oh, yeah. We probably, in the past, we've probably already destroyed Venus, destroyed Mars, and now we're working on Earth. And who knows if every star system doesn't have a few habitable planets. I just read a story where scientists now within NASA and different space agencies are starting to believe that there are at least 3 planets within the habitable zone of most of these star systems. So maybe those are our 3. Maybe we're on the last one. I don't know. Or maybe we just keep skipping. I don't know. Human beings probably repeating our actions.
Yeah, we never learn from our own history, and history repeats. It's all a cycle.
Yeah, it is. So I don't know. It's just something I think about. Maybe they're going to send these people to Mars, and there you'll have your Adam and Eve's, your Noah's Ark, or whatever.
Yeah, you got the whole Messiah figure with the woman who's getting sent there, and she's going to be the first one to give birth there, and all that kind of stuff. That one child then is going to be almost like a Messiah figure for all of humanity at that point.
Well, yeah, and I've got a guest who's going to be coming on. I think this month he'll be on, and he says that Noah's Ark was a real event, and we're going to discuss it, but I'm going to give him my spin on it, and I'm not going to let him just blow it off, because it is a possibility. You think about Noah's Ark, and you think about putting first off, who went and rounded up 1 or 2 of everything on the planet? Who did that? First off, and second of all, how did you fit it all on that damn ark? So I'm guessing that it was it was DNA, and that it was some kind of ship, and probably not one that floats in water, probably one that leaves the planet until everything's copacetic.
Yeah, exactly. I have to completely agree with your assessment on that. I've said that for a lot of years myself, and I think that actually is the way that things went. If it did happen, that would be the most I don't know, I guess logical course that it would have taken. Because if you think about it, how did they feed all these animals? What about the animals that were on the side of the planet that only exist on that one part in particular? That sort of thing. It wasn't everyone.
Well, and then you look at things like the International Space Station. Do we really know what's going on up there? Do we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. How do we know? And the moon, how do we know what's going on there? So I don't know. I think that there's, there could be something coming. I don't know anything about no planets coming in or anything like that. I don't have any direct data that tells me, hey, next week we better pack up and run. I don't know. But all I could say is you look at what's happening on this planet, and I don't know, something's going on. You got plates stretching, you got something happening. I don't know, something's happening with the Earth.
Well, one thing that I had heard a long time ago, I don't know if you ever had anybody on talking about this before or not, but one thing that I ran across, or theory that I ran across before, is the idea that the Earth is expanding on a constant basis, and that the stretching of the Earth plates and that sort of thing could be what is causing that, or that it's a result of the Earth expanding outwards or growing essentially.
Well, what gets me is they always say this could be, or it might be, or maybe it is. And well, come on, scientist, is it or isn't it? You know?
Yeah, exactly. They have, when it comes to science and scientists, the thing that always hits my mind the most is the idea that just even within my lifetime alone, which is 44 years now, I just turned 44 years now, I remember distinctly scientists coming out and saying, well, eggs are good for you. Eat these eggs because these eggs are great for you. The vitamins, the minerals, the protein, it's essential for life, and you need to eat as many eggs as you possibly can eat. Well, no, now the eggs are bad. Don't eat eggs. They're very bad for you. Never eat eggs. There's horrible cholesterol contained within them, and you shouldn't eat them at all. Well, now the eggs are okay, but only the egg whites. Don't eat the yolks because the yolks are the bad part for you. Only eat the whites of the eggs. That's the good part for you. Look, we'll even put out this product that is powdered egg whites and so on and so forth. Well, now the whites are bad for you. Now you should eat the yolks. You see, they don't know what they're talking about. They're always talking out of their butt on a constant basis, Well,
I never ate eggs anyways. Because I don't eat birds. No turkey or chicken for me. So I don't eat the eggs either, because all they are is unhatched birds. So for me, I'm not doing it. I've never done it. I mean, yeah, there's been eggs put in like cakes and things that I've eaten, and I overlooked that. But as far as scrambling an egg, no, I'm good with that. You can go have that. If you've ever opened up an egg that has, it's almost ready to hatch.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
My mother opened one once when I was a kid, and I remember seeing it, and that's all it took. I saw that, and I said, nope. You could spank me, you could ground me, you could do whatever you want to me. I'm not eating it.
Yeah, that would be a pretty big yuck factor.
Yeah, so that did it for me. And I went into a slaughterhouse when I was a kid, too. My parents went to buy half a cow, and we were on this big farm. I forget where it was again. It was somewhere in New York. And I wandered off, and I go open this door, and it was this freezer door, and there was the chicken hanging up there on the hook, and the pig was up on the hook. And as a little kid, that kind of, it did things to me.
Yeah, when I was younger, I worked on a pig farm myself, so yeah, I know.
Well, I spent 10 years in a pig farm, but then I left her. So, anyways, another thing I wanted to throw at you, Ira, is death with dignity. They are passing some legislation inspired by a Brittany Maynard, and it was introduced in Albany. And so if you've got a terminal illness, then you can die with dignity. They'll help you die. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I actually did a show about that. It was about a month and a half ago, I think, that I covered that on my show in particular. I am actually for assisted suicide in a lot of ways, mainly because I have known a lot of people over the years that have had those kind of terminal illnesses, and if they feel that that's their way to go, then that's their way to go. Personally, I think that they should fight harder. Myself, if it happened to me, that's how I would do things. I would do what I needed to do to stay alive. But I don't, I guess, blame them for doing that. It's their life and it's their choice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and see, I agree with that, but I think why pay other people to help kill you when you could do it yourself? I mean,
right.
It's just, I always said that if I was going to go, the way I would do it is, find the best pills I could find and take a nap. But I don't know why people do things horrible, like hang themselves and jump off bridges and, things. I mean, I could think of better ways to do it, I think, but, what I worry about is, okay, so you got Obamacare now, and you've got this assisted suicide coming into play now, And so at what point do the doctors make you feel like you have no hope, and so you fall right into their hands, and depopulation picks up another tool?
Right. And it's not only that, but it also gets extended to when does it become a choice of your own and somebody else's decision? When is it when does it become a decision that, oh, your family is under so much pressure and so much burden from taking care of you, so you have to be let go? You see, that it opens up a lot of doors, and there is a slippery slope that's to it.
Yeah, there is. And, I watched my mom suffer, but even if the doctor says we could put her out of her, I wouldn't have let them. I just know, because I always believe there's a chance. I think that for me personally, I think when it's your time, it's your time. And I think that, there's a lesson to be learned. And I think that if you let yourself out of it early, you didn't get that full lesson, you may be coming back and doing it again. And who the hell wants to do that again?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing of, I kind of take the approach again that it's the person's choice. For me personally, I would choose to do everything that I could to fight to stay alive, but not everybody is going to make that choice. The thing that I think bothers me the most about the whole assisted suicide issue is that a lot of the people that are outcrying against it are the same ones who are also at the same token like pro-abortion and that type of thing. And it's like, okay, so which one are you here,
Yeah, basically. I've had people contact me about doing shows on abortion, and I'm not going to do it. And, you want my opinion, I'll give you my opinion. I think it's up to the individual. I think that you should not do it if you can help it at all costs. If there's other options, take them. But, I think it comes down to the individual at some point. If a woman's raped and she, it comes down to her choice, basically. That's where I stand on it. It's not for me to tell anybody what to do, and it's between them and God. Okay,
yeah,
so
I'm on the same token.
That's just how I feel. I mean, I'm not going to go throwing rocks through people's windows and telling them that they're going to hell and they're evil. It's to each their own. Well, I wouldn't do it, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. So, it's whatever's best for you, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on the same token with it myself. My background, I was supposed to be a twin. The twin died. My mom also had a 16-pound blood tumor in her uterus along with me, with a 10-pound and a 3-pound. They kept trying to tell her to get an abortion, and she never did. And here I am. So, I'm grateful for her decision on that. But again, yes, it is up to the person themselves that's involved with it.
Yeah, and again, I think that if it's meant for you to be here, you'll be here one way or the other.
Yep.
So, I knew a girl who was very upset over making that decision years ago. And I used to tell her, I say, well, you know what? It's just, he's back in line. And the next time around, he's going to be back again. And that's the best way I can explain it, because if you're meant to be here, you're going to be here. Nobody can stop. I hate to say, I don't want to sound all religious here, but nobody can stop God's will, in my opinion. So
yeah, well, that's not a religious statement though either. God is so many different things. You're exactly right. If you're going to be here, you're going to be here. And again, when it's time for you to go, you're going to go. This is not our first time around this maypole, and it's not going to be our last. So.
Well, actually, if it's as good as some tell me it's supposed to be on the other side, I hope this is my last time around this maypole. Although, I'll say this. People always say, who would want to live forever? I'd like to give it a shot.
You and me both.
And as long as we're legalizing assisted suicide, well, why the hell not? Let me, I don't know, another extra 100 or 200 years wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, just think of the things you'd see. If mankind didn't destroy themselves first. But I mean, don't you want to be there when ET, it doesn't seem like they're landing anytime soon and saying hello to us. So I'd like to be around for that.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. I would love to see that day for sure.
Yeah, and I'd love to see the day when it's proven that there are colonies on Mars and there are this and that on the moon, and And even if Planet X is coming, hell, I don't mind. If I could live an extra 100 years to see it or something, I'll gladly watch it crush me.
Yeah, I'd be like Woody Harrelson in the 2012 movie, just standing there on the mountainside watching it come. Yeah,
this is late night
and
in
broadcasting the whole way.
Yeah, live from Yellowstone Park, and yeah, we'd have to go video for that one.
Yep, exactly. I'd be right there.
Yeah, I'd say I'm here live with John Moore, Dr. Rand, Marshall Masters, and I want to just have one big game on the top of the mountain, King of the Mountain, before it's all over with.
There you go. Yep. The end has come. I'm on top.
Yeah. So, anyways, Ira, what do you got coming up on your next show?
Okay, tomorrow I'm going to be covering Bigfoot and more. I'm going to cover Bigfoot, reptilians, all different kinds of things along those lines. Sort of the Enigma episode.
I wonder how he got the name Bigfoot. Yeah, okay, Bigfoot, but he's got feet. He's got two of them. So, I mean, who decided to call him Bigfoot? And I kind of like calling him Sasquatch because Bigfoot just sounds so Marvel comic to me.
Yeah, that's what I usually prefer to do as well. I call him Sasquatch or Squatch because that's what I have in my background is knowing him as that. But I usually use the term Bigfoot publicly because a lot of people recognize it the most, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's I picture Bigfoot coming out of the woods with Captain Caveman. But so that's what you got going, huh? Bigfoot.
Yep. It should be an interesting show, I think. I've done a lot of research into it over the years and have come across a lot of things from the tribe that I'm from, the legends that have been passed down from them. I'll be giving those out as well. So
tribes, yeah, I'm from the Vera tribe.
Well, I'm Miami from here in Indiana, so I've had a lot of contact with my elders that are here in the tribe that had their legends passed down over the years.
Believe me, I've had a lot of contact with my elders too. Their hand to my ass.
Had the same thing myself.
So yeah, interesting stuff. By the way, I had spoke with Ryan, and if you would like to become a part of the Last Frequency, we would be more than happy to have you.
I would definitely love it. I always get a kick out of talking to the two of you guys together. So,
all right. Well, then that's what we'll do. And by the way, Ryan's show is going to air Saturday and Sunday this week. So he'll be on before Red Pill Reality. And then the Red Pill Reality will come on. And then he'll be on his normal time on Sunday. So Saturday he'll be on 6 p.m. Eastern. Ira, we're looking for people, volunteers, people. Want to get this radio station up and kicking. We really want to get moving. So research into it would be great. I think that we should form ourselves a little think tank here come this weekend and figure some stuff out. I already got my eye on some servers and things, and once I get away from Spreaker, I could do a lot more, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely look into that myself.
Yeah, because I'd like to add more. I'd like to get us going here 24 hours. And, I used to have a music station, too, that I used to have. I had it for about, I think 7 months, and then I gave it up. But I don't want to do music so much. I want, information.
Right, exactly. Yep. Go with what people know you as. I think that would be great. Doing it 24, that would be awesome because I know a lot of people don't have the opportunity to listen to it live and they go back and they'll listen to it later. If you had something that was available 24, that I think it'd be a really good option.
Yeah, at some point I'd like to actually, fill that time, at least most of that time with live shows and have some recorded shows for the wee hours of the morning or what have you. But that's what I'm looking to do. I've said it for a long time, I've wanted to build a network that was, that could be relied on. Everybody, and they're held accountable. You're not going to BS people and get away with it here. So that's what I want to do.
And I like that so many of the radio stations that are out there, they'll just take whatever comes along. And if something happens later, then, oh, we're sorry about that occurring, but if you take care of it from the ground up, you're not going to have that issue.
Yeah, there's one radio station, I see the memo came out that their webmaster just got busted for child pornography. And I'm not trying to bash the station. That's not, their fault. It's just, somebody, and see, that's horrible. That's why I'm very careful. That's why I do most of my stuff. I mean, my website and all that, it's all done by me. I don't let people get into it because you never know. Only two guys ever were involved with my website. Don was one of them. He's gone now. Dr. Nooch, he did have access for a short time until he wouldn't listen and kept doing things that I told him not to do. So I finally had to change it up so he couldn't get in it no more. But now I do it all myself, man. I don't trust people.
Yeah, I'm the same way with my website as well. I handle it all myself, even if I can't see it very well and it takes me a while to do. I definitely don't trust anybody.
Yeah. So, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself, basically. So that's what I do. And then I got no one to complain to but myself. So,
yep, exactly.
But anyways, Ira, I think that's going to about do it for us tonight. Tomorrow, the last frequency you're on tomorrow, 7 p.m. And so look for that, folks. And then Ira will be joining us live on the last frequency tomorrow night as well. And Ira's going to become a more regular part of the last frequency as well. So we're slowly moving you in here, Ira.
I'm like the ooze coming in and taking over things.
Yeah. Three heads are better than one sometimes. So
yes.
So that's what we're doing. And thank you for joining me here, and thank you for being on the network and doing what you do, my friend.
Oh, you are very welcome. I am so honored to be here, as always.
All right. Have a good night, Ira.
You too, Michael. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. So that does it for tonight. Tomorrow night is the last frequency, and we should have fun. It'll be Ryan, myself, and Ira. And, getting Ira involved a little more in the last frequency. Who knows? He may one day be full time with Ryan if my schedule doesn't ease up here one of these days. But, let's see. I'm looking here. Oh, John Burbatis joins us on Thursday, and we're going to talk about upcoming disasters. And on Friday the 20th, Steve Miller joins us to talk about his UFO encounter. And, that about does it for us tonight. And we'll join you again here tomorrow night for the last frequency. Keep your eyes posted to the sky because you never know what you might see. Keep your ears posted to this broadcast because you never know what you might learn. Good night, everybody.